Hello everyone, batching into today's second video. Going to have a look at weather for next week's 10 days. For today's second video, that will take us to around the 6th of December. And we'll be able to extend out beyond that with the extended GFS and ECM ensembles. They run to around a couple of weeks. We'll have a look at the CFSV2 at the end of the video for the next 4 weeks. That will take us to the run up towards Christmas. Talking of Christmas, we're going to have the latest Christmas update. I think it's update number 11 now. Latest Christmas update coming up tonight around 7 o'clock. We've just released the ECMWF 30-day look ahead, and that's taking us well into December as well, and that's looking at weather for the UK and the rest of Europe too, so have a look at that, see what's going on there. We're going to begin in the stratosphere at meteoseal.fr, so these are the stratospheric temperature forecasts from the GFS model. So we've got these blue colours there, the cold temperatures in the stratosphere over 10 HPA, at 10 HPA over the North Pole. Just quickly running through. So we've been looking for a sudden stratospheric warming through early December. That was the idea that was within the GFS last week. It has backed off from that idea now. It is going for quite a significant warming over Siberia and the stratosphere up to the 4th of December, but not reaching sudden stratospheric warming type levels. And in a more extended range, going into the second week of December, yes, it does intensify it further, that warming, but again, not really reaching true sudden stratospheric warming levels and keeping it sort of around the edges of the Arctic, so sort of Siberia and going over towards the Pacific side of Siberia, but not really penetrating it truly in towards the Arctic and the North Pole itself. So it looks like we're going to wait longer for any sign of a genuine sudden stratospheric warming. The GFS is definitely backed away from this for the time being, and up to sort of the 12th of December, which is as far as we can go for GFS now, up to the 12th of December, keeping things pretty cold there over the top of the pole in the stratosphere. We'll keep looking for sudden stratospheric warmings. They're very rare to have them this early in the winter anyway. Normally they're much later on. Right, this is the central temperature from Hadley. It's on its way up as expected. So the CT is currently sitting for November 2019 at 6.5. 6.5 degrees, which is an anomaly of 0.4 degrees below average. That's provisional to be 25th. That's going to go up a little bit more. Very mild day today. And then in the second half of the week, it will start to drop. So it's probably going to finish up about 6.5 in its own terms, but then we're probably going to get a downwards correction. So I think we will probably finish up somewhere in below 6s, somewhere around 6.0 to 6.5, somewhere around there. Very difficult to judge exactly where it finishes, but I think we'll finish up in below 6s with the CT at the end of this month. That follows on, of course, from September, which was a little bit mild on average, and October, which was a little bit cold on average. It's certainly been a cooler autumn than we've had for quite a long time, probably our coolest autumn since 2012. Cold snap is on the way for the end of the week and into the weekend. We see this quite clearly on the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles. We're at Romford in Essex today. This is another suggested location for this section of the video. So if you'd like to have your local town or city featured within this part of the video, then you can let us know through the comments at GavService, email us at gavservice@gmail.com, or ask us via our Facebook and Twitter accounts. And we're always happy to add your location to the list of locations. We've got quite a long list at the moment, so it may take us a little while to get round to, but we will get round to everybody's local town or city. Don't think we can go down to village level just yet. So we're starting off, the red line is the 30-year upper air temperature average for Romford. We're starting off milder than average, above average temperatures at the moment. They're going to drop through the second half of the week, becoming quite cold over the weekend and into the early part of next week. Cold snap definitely showing up there. And then through the course of next week, temperatures recover, going back a little bit milder than average by the end of next week, by around day 10, 6th of December. And then after that, it looks like just close to average, really, with temperatures after that. Precipitation-wise, we've got more rain coming up over the next couple of days. Of course, we've got low pressure with us today, containing the remains of ex-tropical storm Sebastian, so that's one of the reasons the temperatures have got a lot milder, bringing the air up from the tropical Atlantic. As it goes colder at the end of the week, it also goes drier, so we get a few days of drier weather, end of week, over weekend, into the beginning of next week, and then through next week and into the second week of December, it's getting more unsettled once again. So unsettled to start, a colder but drier episode, and then milder and unsettled again later. Haven't got any anomalies to show you today. Unfortunately, they've not been updated, so we'll move straight on to the generic charts. This is how the latest GFS run is looking. So for Friday, we've got high pressure over Greenland and down into Iceland, low pressure as a trough through Scandinavia, and the winds are in from the north, so it's going colder at the end of the week. Into Saturday, we've got this area of low pressure that's threatening. A lot of uncertainty about that area of low pressure. I think most of us will be dry and cold over the weekend, but this low could just bring some rain into the far south of the country. The GFS actually takes that low down into Biscay, though, by the time we get through to Sunday, the high pressure toppling in over the country. And then that brings a settled but quite cold start to next week. That high pressure sticks around through to the middle of next week. So that keeps us cold up to the middle of next week, actually, for GFS, or most of us anyway. Scotland is a bit milder here by Wednesday the 4th. We've got more of a west-southwesterly, so it's milder there. But for England and Wales, mainly dry. And I think what that suggests is probably an increasing risk of fog, actually, under that ridge as we go through next week. And still with quite cold nights, so maybe freezing fog could become a bit of an issue through the early part of next week. Later next week, then we do all start to turn milder with these southwesterly winds getting up. There's a band of rain here pushing through at day 10, which is Friday the 6th of December. That's bringing a band of wet weather across the country. And somewhat colder air then follows along behind from the northern Atlantic. Into more extended range, looking unsettled then through the first full weekend of December, and then as we go through into more extended range heading up towards the end of this GFS run again, we continue to look very unsettled. Low pressure driving in from the Atlantic, bringing showers, longer spells of rain. Quite chilly air as well. We're bringing the air in from the North Atlantic, so it's not a mild westerly at all. In fact, it could be cold enough to deal with wintry weather up in the north. This is as far as we go with the GFS run today, which is due Thursday the 12th of December. That, of course, is day of the general election. That will bring us a wet and windy, certainly wet and windy start to the general election day, probably followed by sunshine and showers, and they may turn wintry up in the north. Tiny patch isobars as well, indicating strong winds. This is how the GEM is looking. So again, we've got high pressure out to our northwest, low pressure over Scandinavia, bringing in these cold north or northeasterly winds on Friday, Saturday, and there's still a bit of a ridge of high pressure, gives us dry, colder day. That low tries to get in Saturday to sunny, but sort of dies south in towards Biscay, so I don't think that gives us too much in the way of wet weather. And then the high pressure sort of re-establishes through the early part of next week, before eventually beginning to break down by the middle of next week. We're introducing this milder westerly wind, that bringing in showers or longer spells of rain. As we go into towards day 10, looking increasingly unsettled with the GEM. Plenty of wet weather returning by the time you get through to day 10, which is Friday the 6th of December. ECM looks like that. Cold on Friday, mainly dry, possibly a few slow showers in the northeast. Now, Saturday, the low pressure is having a go at getting in from off the Atlantic. Quite a bit of uncertainty about how far north that gets. I think the ECM does bring that a little bit further north compared to the other two models, actually. Central northern areas, though, mainly dry, cold and frosty. And then into the weekend, the high pressure, and early next week, high pressure takes over, turns it mainly dry. Would be cold and about reach of high pressure, some sharp overnight frost, possibly some freezing fog. By Tuesday, just begin to go a little bit milder in the far northwest country with those southwesterly winds. But the high pressure only sort of gradually shifts away to the southwest. So even up to day 10, which is Friday the 6th of December, some southern and southwestern parts of the country could be quite cold, although the upper air temperatures there would be mild. Down in the far south and southwest, possibly quite cold there. Further north, though, a good deal milder. Notice this trough sinking in over Scandinavia. If we could roll on a little bit further, it looks as though we would probably see that high pressure pushing northwards and this trough over Scandinavia, possibly sinking southwards in that direction, and the upshot is that we might start to pull in some colder northerly winds, perhaps with the ECM solution, if we could go any further on than day 10, which of course we can't. We can only go up to day 10 with the ECM operational run. So just have a very quick look at the precipitation forecast with that ECMWF run. So today we've got showers or long spells of rain across many parts of the country. And we keep these showery conditions going into tomorrow as well. Some quite wet weather around across parts of England and Wales. Tomorrow a little bit drier for Scotland and for Northern Ireland. On Thursday, that wet weather turns tail and pushes back southwards again, and that's as we introduce this colder wind from the north behind that band of rain pushing southwards on Thursday, leaving us with a colder day for Friday. Wintry showers around the northeastern and eastern coast, but many areas dry. Watch out for overnight frost. This is Saturday. This area of low pressure trying to come in from the Atlantic. All sorts of headaches with this. It looks as though most of the rain, if there is any, will be to the south of the M4. But we'll have a little bit of sleet or snow on the leading edge of that. It will be particularly over high ground. So the Downs and places like Dartmoor possibly seeing a little bit of sleet or snow on Saturday through to Sunday. If this low does get any further north, and the rain's any further north, then the risk of snow would increase if it got up to Wales, the Midlands and Northern England, but I don't think it's going to get that far north. The rain clears away anyway by the time you get through to Sunday, leaving us with a cold day, return of dry weather and overnight frost. And then into next week, a lot of dry weather through much of next week, actually, as high pressure dominates weather. So we do go a lot drier next week. It will be cold for much of the time, especially at night. Risk of freezing fog as well, I would have thought. Just later on, we've gone past day 10 there, so let's get back to that. Just later on, as we get towards the end of next week, just starting to introduce a little bit of patchy rain into the far north of the country. There we are, a little bit of patchy rain to north of Scotland by day 10, 6th of December. But even then, much of the south is mostly dry, and probably for southern areas anyway, still quite cold. These are the options on the table. The ECM ensembles today for day 10, getting us to the 6th of December. We have 15 members of the ECM ensembles, including the operational run. That's the run we've just been talking about, of course. But are still dominated by high pressure at day 10. They have this ridge over the country and out to the Atlantic. Low pressure is up to the north. But jet stream is north of us as well. But down in the south, anyway, it's probably still be quite cold. 13 members of the ECM ensembles agree the control run, but a more unsettled. The above average heights pushed away to the southwest, the below average heights deepening to the north of the country. That's looking quite wet and windy, especially for northern areas. 11 with low pressure to our north and some high pressure in the middle of the Atlantic. So that was going to be rather drier, but a little bit on the chilly side probably. 8, there's a lot of options. 8 with low pressure over and to the north of the country, so that's going to be unsettled. And then 4 with northern blocking. High pressure up there and low pressure, a trough of low pressure over the UK, Western Europe. That's the coldest and most unsettled option. It's all about that ridge and how quickly that ridge sort of pushes away from us by the time we get to day 10. In 2 weeks' time, these are the options that we've got. This is up to the 11th of December. So 17 members of the ECM ensembles with low pressure over the top of the country, looking very unsettled with those. A little bit on the cold side as well, pulling in some winds from a northwesterly direction. 14 with low pressure to our north, otherwise a lot of dry weather. 11 with low pressure again to our north, so that's going to be mostly unsettled. And then 9 with low pressure over and just to our northwest. That's going to be the most unsettled option of all, probably. Actually, the 17 we've got just here, most unsettled option of all. I think by the time you get through to 2 weeks away, though, most of those ensemble members are trending towards more unsettled conditions. So any drier weather next week, probably not going to last. By the second week of December, we could be back into unsettled conditions again. Finally, the CFS V2, these are 500 millibar heights broken out into week periods. The first week period takes us from the 26th of November to the 2nd of December. The coming week is very unsettled. over central parts of Europe, just here, big trough of low pressure across the north and central east part of Europe. But for us, we're actually closest ridge of high pressure. That's wrong. Actually close to this ridge of high pressure. There it is, to our west and northwest, with low pressure dominating, bringing very unsettled conditions to the north and east of Europe. So we're sort of in between really in the weekend. There will be some unsettled weather as we've established, although over time I think we do shift more and more towards high pressure, especially by the weekend and early next week. Week 2 is the 3rd to the 9th of December, dominated by high pressure. Low pressure is up to our north, so that's a drier week. Probably not overly warm though. We could be bringing in the winds a little bit from a northeasterly direction. With that, then we go through to week 3, which looks very unsettled. Low pressure is to our north. We're bringing in west to northwesterly winds, so unsettled there. We're back to unsettled conditions. Week 3, 10th to 16th of December. And then week 4, looking really unsettled, which gets us to the 17th to 23rd of December, so just before Christmas. And low pressure is really in control, sitting just to our west and bringing in westerly winds. So it's not cold, it would be rather mild, but very, very unsettled running up to Christmas with plenty of wet weather. There is high pressure up to our northeast, across the north of Scandinavia and west of Russia. Obviously, we would have to watch out for whether that's started to bat winds into the east up towards or over Christmas. But for that week, anyway, 17th to the 23rd of December, we're looking very unsettled, but probably on the mild side. So that's how we're looking today. We've got a clear trend here for weather to become drier and colder at the end of the week into the weekend, lasting to the early part of next week. Next week, it's all about how quickly this ridge slips southwards. If it stays centrally located over the UK, then it will remain cold and frosty, probably with an increasing risk of fog through next week. If it moves quite quickly southwards, then we would start to turn milder and windier. However that ridge breaks down, how long it takes to break down, it looks like by the second week of December, we're probably into much more unsettled conditions again. Probably. We shall see. Right, so that's it for update number 2. We'll be back later on with the latest Christmas update, the latest instalment of the Christmas updates. We're with you 7 o'clock tonight. But that's all for now, and thanks for watching.